Hey, Michelle, how you feeling today? Honestly,
Hey,
how are you feeling?
honestly, how am I feeling? I feel like I've been combating a cold all month. I mean,
Uh-huh.
battling actually.
Battling. You've been battling a cold all month. Me too, actually. I currently have a cold. Everyone's getting sick these days. It's crazy.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
It's that time of year. So,
Yeah.
one of the words I used to talk about having a cold was battling. Now,
Yes.
am I fighting some sort of battle with a cold? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like you are, right? But you're not literally up there with like shoulder pads or not shoulder pads, knee pads and like, uh, any kind of a uniform battling. You are just struggling. Let's say you're struggling with that
Mm.
cold, right? You're fighting it
Mm.
off. That's another good one.
Fighting.
Fighting it off. Yeah.
Ooh, good. So that's what we're going to talk about today because we have an excellent listener question. And before we get into that, guys, we also want to remind you we have a great episode 2099 was how to switch topics like a pro for better connections. So
Yep.
listen to that one. That's going to be huge for you in your conversations.
Yeah, we're highlighting that one in particular because, guys, we know that the way to move to the 99% fluency level, this is the way natives speak. They move between topics all the time. There are people in my life that are constantly weaving from one topic to the next, back to the other one. We need to be ready to follow those, right? And
Yes.
so that episode will get you started. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, so this question is from Aisha,
Yes.
and it's from the iOS app. So this listener
Yes.
is a iOS app user. Guys, if you don't have our app yet, go on over and get it at allearsenglish.com/app, APP. This app is really amazing. You can get the transcripts right on your phone and follow along as you listen. And you can also get a personalized power list of vocabulary words. So go on
Yeah.
over and
Yep.
get that. Really good stuff.
Good stuff. So I'm going to read Aisha's question and we
Yes.
will dive into it today, Michelle. Here we go.
Hmm.
You ready?
Hmm.
Okay. This is the best ESL podcast out there. Oh, thank you so
Thank
much. That's
you.
amazing. I've been listening to All Ears English, AEE, from way back, and every time I do, I always learn interesting and relevant native expressions. That is so great, Michelle. We love
Glad.
that feedback.
Yes.
Aisha says, big shout out to Lindsay, Michelle, Aubrey, and Jessica. They're doing a great job for ESL learners. Very nice. All right, I'd like to ask a question. Can you make an episode on the figurative use of words like combat, battle, and tackle? I've seen and heard this usage multiple times, and I'd really appreciate it if you could teach it on the podcast. Thank you,
Mm,
Aisha.
thank
Well, thank
you.
you to Aisha for being a longtime listener.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And I love this question. It's very
I know.
specific.
Yeah,
And I just feel like these make for the best questions.
I agree.
Um, so Aisha mentions wanting the more of a figurative use of
Right,
combat or a combat, battle
right.
and tackle. And so first we're kind of going to go over more of, I mean, more of the literal sense when you hear
Yes.
these words, what you think of. So,
Mhm.
combat, Lindsay. What is combat?
Yes. Yeah, so combat is just it's basically war, right? There's
Mhm.
more combat these days in certain parts of the world, sadly.
Mhm.
And that's how we use it literally. We hear it on the news,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And the next one, Michelle, is battle, right?
Mhm. And that's
Mhm.
more about like to fight, but like when we think of a battle, we think of a larger war and then smaller battles, right? Like
Yeah.
Lindsay, like in the Civil War, you went
Yeah,
to college
yeah.
in the area where there may have been some battles.
Yeah, I went to college in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which was one of the battlegrounds. Literally, our tennis facility, it was called I think it was called like the battleground or the I don't
Oh
remember
wow.
what it was called, but like they took the name that particular piece of land, like that field, was used in the Battle of Fredericksburg, which was a major battle in the Civil War. And
Mm,
so we have larger war, smaller battles.
yes. Yes.
That's all that matters. Yeah,
Yes. And then tackle, I think, is different. I think of I of course think of football. I mean,
yeah.
so this is
Oh
more
yeah.
like to, when players are playing and they like knock each other to the ground, that's to tackle them.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Do you watch football?
No, do you?
Okay, I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, has she become a football fan?"
No. It was
Okay.
It's actually funny because my son, sometimes when Dan and I are going on a date or something that he can't go to, like, he gets upset, so we tell him, it's become a running joke,
Oh,
"Oh, we're gonna go watch the news." We're actually just go even if I go to, like, a back to school night, I always say, "Oh, no, it's gonna be really boring, I'm just gonna watch the news."
that's so
And
cute. That's so
and
funny.
and so he's always like, "Oh, no, I
Oh,
don't
never
wanna do that."
mind. I don't wanna come with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but then yesterday he was like, "Well, I like some news." He goes, "I like to watch football and basketball." He's never watched them in his whole life, and it was
That's
just so
hilarious.
funny.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
so
Yep,
but
things
anyway,
kids
maybe I'll get
say.
him into basketball, but I do not watch football.
That's so good.
Yeah, so, so let's talk about this way that I think Aisha really wants here, more of a
Mhm.
different usage. So, what is the first one, Lindsay?
All right. So if we use the we if we want to take the word combat, we want to turn that into a verb, right? And
Mhm.
that is how we actually use that figuratively. We actually change the pronunciation is the first thing we need to know. We say combat, right? Which
Yes.
is to prevent or to stop something. So take note, guys, the pronunciation, the emphasized syllable does change between
Yes.
the noun and the verb. So if that's the one thing you take away today, that's important if you're going to use it as a verb figuratively. So, for example, the school board is taking steps to combat student cheating using AI. And I think all schools are doing this right now. They're scrambling to figure out what to do, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a tricky one because, man, this is the future and we don't know what's gonna happen.
We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, that's right. Okay, what else, Michelle?
Okay, so then we have battle. So
Mhm.
to fight off something or just kind of a fight something difficult. So if you use it as a noun, you could say something like, "Well, this is very timely. It's a battle to get my kids out the door every morning. Literally this morning, it was a battle."
Yeah, I heard you had a hard time getting on the microphone today for
Yes, it was not
Okay.
according to plan, but that's okay. So a
Cool.
battle, right? It was not easy. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah,
like a I don't mean that it was a physical
of
fight.
course not, of course not.
No. But more of just like a
This is the
struggle.
figurative use. It's the
Yes.
figurative use, right?
Yes.
And we're glad you're here, Michelle. We're glad
Thank
you're here.
you. Thank you. And
Won the
then
battle. I love
Lindsay,
it.
what are you so but it can also be a verb, like I'm battling a cold.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm battling a cold, or I feel like I'm going into battle. When would we use that? Again, not literally,
Right.
right? But figuratively. Give me an example of when that would make sense, Michelle.
It's like when you are going into a difficult situation, or
Okay.
maybe it's something that, maybe you're gonna have a debate or something like that. You know
Ooh,
that something isn't gonna be easy. So,
okay.
I could say, like, every night I just sorry to use all the kid references, but, I feel like I'm going into battle every night to try
Yeah.
and get my kids to sleep. Like, I feel like I'm going into battle. Do you ever hear that, Chunk?
Interesting. Yeah, for sure. I've heard it before. I'm
Mhm.
trying to think of other so certainly preparing for what your kids are gonna
Mhm.
throw at you is a good example, right?
Yeah.
Meaning what you're going to encounter with your kids. I'm thinking about what else it could be. Like maybe if there's a big snowstorm and you have to drive across state
Yes.
lines and you're gonna go and put all these things in your car, extra windshield wiper fluid, gloves, boots, everything you might need in case you get stranded. You might say, I feel like I'm going into battle, but I'm going to get in the car. I have to drive to the airport in New Mexico, for example.
Yes,
Right? Yes.
exactly, exactly. Or maybe if you are meeting with a coworker about something that is going to really take a while to figure out,
Yeah.
maybe
Hmm.
that it's a little bit of a tense topic. You could say, "Oh, I have this meeting. I feel like I'm going into battle. This is not going to
Yeah.
be easy."
I like it. I love this question from
Yeah.
Aisha because it lets us be precise in our language.
Yes.
This is incredibly precise language,
Yes.
guys. So write this down and yep, we're going to keep going in just a minute, right, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Let's go into the next one, which I love, tackle.
Mhm.
Tackle. What about that?
Yeah, generally, I mean, there can be more uses of this as well, but we're trying to keep it to what we hear the most, guys. So,
Sure.
tackle is often to work on something. So, maybe to do something that can be challenging or problematic or something that's it's not going to be something that takes 1 second. So, for
Yeah.
example, I would say it a lot like this. And if you saw my room right now, you would know that this is a true statement. I get all these things are inspired by my life, I can see. Um, I guess it's time to tackle the pile of laundry next to my bed. So, do I mean I'm going to jump on it and roll around? Maybe.
I mean, maybe. I don't know what you're gonna do. I mean, maybe, but generally, what I would imagine, what I would assume is that you're gonna start to fold that laundry and put it
Yeah.
away,
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I'm looking at it right now and it's staring at me and it's saying, "Hi, Michelle."
waiting for you to jump in there. Yeah.
But I could also say before I'm gonna do that, like, "Oh god, I feel like I'm going into battle."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
you
that's
could
good.
use that as well.
This one I like. I think this is the one to tackle, is the one I use figuratively the most.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I just think I need, I have some tasks on my whiteboard. I have to tackle some of these
yeah.
things this weekend just to get them off my plate, right? Very common around household chores. Your to-do list can really kind of start to bother you if you don't tackle it. Tackle your
Right.
to-do list, get things done, right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
maybe that's just us as Americans. We obsess over our to-do lists.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that these are synonyms, all of these? Or, I mean, I in
Mm.
some ways, yes, but no, I don't think they're exactly the same.
I think they're obviously in the same category,
Yeah.
right? Same ballpark, same idea, but they're not exactly the same. The closest ones I would say battle and tackle, would be closer than, combat and
Yeah.
battle.
True.
But
True.
yeah, not cinnamon, not cinnamon, not
Cinnamon.
synonyms, but not totally different either. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think yeah, tackle is really about getting things done. And so that sounds like that's the one you use most frequently, Lindsay. Tackle.
Yeah, Michelle, probably for
Yeah,
me. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe I use battle a lot as well. I don't know. They're
Ooh,
all. That's a great part about this question. I think is these are all pretty frequently used.
for sure.
And then
Yeah.
there are even expressions like half the battle, which I think we've even done on this show.
Ooh, I love that expression. Actually, I
Half the
love that expression.
battle.
Have we done an episode on
I
that? Maybe
think
we
we have.
have.
I'm gonna look into it, and if not, we're gonna do it.
So it's this idea of we talk about endowed progress. If I have to write a term paper for school, just doing an outline is half the battle because that's getting
Mhm.
over the mental hump of getting started and knowing what I'm going to write. Right, Michelle?
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
I'm just doing a quick search to see if I can find it, but I know it
Hmm.
sounds so familiar.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe we'll come
but
back to it. It's a
we'll
new
come back
year,
to it another
new
time.
opportunities. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I found it. It's episode 1410. Vocabulary is half the battle for connection in English.
Love
But
it.
maybe we will revisit it now that it's like almost 4
Sure.
years later. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, great. So, should we do a role play?
Yeah, let's jump into a role play, Michelle. So here we are talking about our days. All right. So maybe it's the end of the day and we're coming together. All right. So,
Yes, here we go.
hey, how's it going, Michelle?
Oh, I've just been tackling some work today, so I feel pretty productive.
Oh, that's good.
You?
Same, working. My company is running a fundraiser to combat chronic illnesses. So I'm working on that.
Oh, wow, amazing. Oh man, about to head home. Getting on the bus at this time will be a real battle.
Yeah. So definitely this language is salient. Like it's in our vocabulary, right? Because we have challenges in life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so this is great. I mean, so first here, Michelle, what did you say first in
I
our role play?
said I
Break it
said
down.
I've been tackling some work today. So,
Mhm.
been working on something that's working on my to-do list.
Exactly, exactly. And then I said same working, right? My
Mhm.
company is running a fundraiser to combat chronic illnesses. Now this is about maybe raising money
Right.
to fund science so we can reduce chronic illness, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly.
And then what?
Um, and then I said, getting on the bus at this time will be a real battle."
Love it. Michelle, what's the takeaway for our listeners today? How should we think about these three expressions?
Well, I think we have to consider the literal and figurative uses. I love
Mhm.
this question because it's interesting. You think of in some ways, when we talked about it, they seem like very old-timey words. Well, unfortunately, not so much. But,
Mm,
like, now we really use them in a different way to talk
mhm.
about our days, what we need to do, things that we've been trying to prevent. They're just very dynamic words that can help you in your connections and your life, talking about day-to-day things. Very useful. Lindsay, anything else you
Totally.
wanna add?
Yeah, guys, life is not all about sharing the positive all the time. That wouldn't be very human. And so
Yeah.
there are things in life that we're all battling and tackling, whether it's that pile of laundry on Michelle's bed right now, or whether it's something big, like maybe there's illness in your family, right?
Yeah.
There are times and places to talk about each of these things with the right people at the right
Yes.
time for connection. So
Yes.
don't be afraid to share things using this precise vocab, right?
Definitely. All right. Well, this was
Yeah.
good, and we will talk to you guys on the next episode. Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks,
All right.
Aisha.
Talk soon, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye.